Yes.
That's probably the new name of the podcast.
The noise
zone.
Yeah, I loved it.
We say
very stalker.
I mean, yeah, right. Oh no. This is.
Oh yeah.
Boom, boom, boom,
I
boom.
don't think the Kool-Aid Man would fit in the Stalker universe very well.
In the what
The
universe?
Stalker universe.
Stalker universe.
That's what we're talking about with the
Oh yeah.
and then gunshots and then awful weird anomalies.
Lots of
No,
red liquid.
No, the Stalker stuff?
No.
Oh,
I just thought you meant as a stalker. Because I think that
'Cause you
the
generally-
Kool-Aid Man is a good stalker because he just jumps in random places.
What do you mean by good stalker?
As
As
in,
in
like,
good at what
he
they
just
do,
shows up.
or stalkers are great?
Stalkers are stalkers.
You don't know he's there until he wants you to know he's
Yeah.
there.
Oh, okay. You guys know a lot more about stalkers than I do. This seems to be a generalized worrying thing.
Oh no. Oh yeah. You know, he just jumps in.
Sure.
Have you seen the Family Guy? You know, Family
I've
Guy.
seen the Family Guy thing.
Yeah,
That's
that's my vision of the Kool-Aid Man.
I've been recording. So
Great.
just-
Good.
good. Yeah. Welcome to the Ancient Robot Games podcast. As always, I am Dougal,
And I'm Gil.
and we are joined today by the illustrious Andy Stoddart and Pavel Shepan.
Hello. Hello.
How are you both doing today?
Hello.
Yeah, pretty good. Moist with excitement and rain.
It is raining and cold outside.
Better than what you were saying before.
Oh, thank you. I tried. It's a family podcast, right?
Dampness is always welcome.
Oh no. It's lovely to have you both here. Thank you so much for coming in. You are heads, co-creators, I guess entrepreneurs might be a way to describe it.
Cerberus
Sir,
multiple heads.
sure.
Hydras.
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 You are the Hydras
Your words, not ours.
of Edinburgh Board Gamers, the large board gaming group that is illustrious. Again, we're doubling down on illustrious. Group that is here in Edinburgh that lots of people who come to the shop go to, lots of people who don't come to the shop go to, and everyone only has nice things to say.
That's a change.
I've got to well enjoy it while no
We're just being polite right now.
just being super no thank you so much for coming in. I guess the best question to start with is, how did you both start with all of this, creating such a massive community?
So this literally started as 5 guys in a pub on a Friday night, just playing board games. I think.
It depends
you
where it
remember.
started. The problem is we don't have
Yeah.
records, I guess, but there's different groups of people. I guess we knew each other independently, and then there'd be another group used to meet via Board Game Geek, and I don't know how long ago that was or how long it lasted. And at one point, Florian, I can't remember his surname, doesn't really matter. Yeah, then one of the guys basically graduated and moved back to Germany, came back to visit us, and could only make it on the weekend, whereas we used to meet midweek. And so we went to a pub with him, basically, a handful of card games came out. That was good fun. Then he went away, couldn't come back in the next week for some reason. But there's other groups of people would then congregate around this kind of clique of people who've met in the pub, essentially that time. And I think at that point I would have brought Pavel in, who I knew from other places.
Yeah. So when I came in, I think, it was basically 5 people in a pub on a Friday night because we liked pints, we liked board games, and we liked each other. And we were involved with this meetup group as well. So we used to, I think we started off doing the big events. So every couple of months, we do those big events, right? On a Saturday. And I think that's the ones we started with, right?
Yeah, again, it depends where you start it. If you start it before the meetup group, then we used to do occasional little events with the Grassmark Community Centre, which were the main venues we use at the minute. It's a charity we seem to do a lot of work with. And those are really intermittent. And then at a certain point, we sort of inherited the meetup website from another group who were at that time called Edinburgh Video Gamers.
Oh, we stole it.
Yeah.
We robbed them blind.
Yeah, we don't care.
One of their members started getting into board games and wanted to run a board games night and had met us through other places, and we gave her a hand.
There's actually, sorry if I can interject, because I think there's a cool sort of story about that. So the group used to be called Edinburgh Video Gamers,
Yes.
right? No board games whatsoever. And then one of them started doing board game nights every now and then. And this was back in the day where there wasn't a Switch, I think, or anything like that. So there was no portable gaming, really. They used to meet at Wings at Edinburgh and bring their consoles. So then they brought board games into the mix, and they've changed the name to Edinburgh Board and Video Gamers.
Well, actually, we sort of
which is when
helped them.
Yeah,
they went traveling and left us with the website, and we changed it to Edinburgh Board and Video Gamers because we felt a bit guilty. Yeah.
And then we just decided, well, actually, we're not doing any video games anymore. No one's doing any video games in the group. Should we just remove the video games from the name? Yeah. And we said, well, if a single person complains about this, we're going to bring them back.
Or you force them to play Atmosphere. If anyone remembers that, a VHS-based one, there's a video and it's a board game. Anyway.
I've played this Halloween.
Oh my goodness.
For the third time. It only gets better.
But yes, so you it sounds like a coup. You took over.
Yeah.
You then changed the name.
Yeah.
And was the website where you got a lot of the kind of traffic then from for new people coming and joining?
It probably is. It's certainly got a lot more internet presence than other things we've used. It's if anything, a perennial problem because Meetup itself's not a good system for what we use it for, but you're kind of stuck with it. It's got the database and a massive history for reviews on there, which we...
Yeah, it's I'm sorry, but Meetup is literally the worst app I've ever used in my entire life.
I was sugarcoating that.
Yeah. So Andy's the polite one.
Ancient Robot Podcast, Ancient Robot Game Podcast brought to you by Meetup. But
now is our sponsored segment. And
I mean, I will say it's great if you want to meet new people. You've just moved to a new place.
Yeah.
It is good for that, but it's a nightmare to use. It's an absolute nightmare. So as organizers, right, there is a separate app you need to download if you want to edit your events. You can't do it from the app itself. You have to download a separate app. And also, we've realized after a few years of doing this, that people have been leaving us reviews all this time for years. And we're none the wiser because we didn't have access to those reviews. So
probably did. We just didn't know they were there, I suspect.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't help that you kept like jokingly telling people, asking people how many stars from 8 to 10 would you give us?
Yeah, it was like a joke. It's like, like and subscribe, just a throwaway.
And then they actually did, and you had no idea that they were doing it as well.
Yeah.
They're like, it only goes up to 5 stars. What's he talking about all of this time? And
that's not good with numbers, I guess. But yeah,
how has it changed throughout that time? Kind of growing from, I know that it seems like the origin story is a little hazy, maybe since it might have started in a pub, but growing from that point of like you were five folks, playing in a pub to last time I went, I don't know how many people were there, but there was a ton of people. It was a much bigger, just organizational, what looks like tediousness. Do you all still enjoy it? Has it morphed in your minds in terms of how you organize it? Are you motivated by different reasons?
Yeah, I think so. I think we may have gotten off a tangent, really. So if we went back to where we were saying before, we met as a sort of group of friends who've actually meet in the pub. And we'd meet via sort of WhatsApp and text messages. And it's a bit of a nightmare to get everyone in the same place because nobody wants to give up Friday night until they know the people are going to be there. You need a sort of opt-in system rather than a sign-up system. They can drop out system rather than an opt-in system. And the reason I ended up doing this was because I was the person whose work was nearest Druthy's, which is the pub we were meeting at, and I used to walk past it so I could book the table space. So I needed to know how many tables to book. And then word of mouth got around, then it escalated, and then we inherited the meetup site sort of at random and overtook it with a coup. We then ran events with the Grassmarket Centre, similar to what we've been doing before, but through the BGG website. And we put it on Meetup, and that just ballooned. It went from what we used to be, I suspect, people up 20 to 40 people, never had notes for that, to what I looked on the website, looked back again, we had 107 sign-ups showing on the old event now. And that was just the first launch of it, really. And then we went, all right, what if we put the Fridays on there? Because it's a lot easier to use than texting around every 5 minutes. And then it just grew and grew and grew.
So just to put it into perspective, right? Andy's talking about like a big Saturday event. We started off with about like 80, 100 people on a big Saturday event. Right now, we're getting 100 people every Friday, not every couple of months. So what we used to start with as a big event, right now is every Friday from. So yeah, it's grown a lot, and it's come with a bunch of issues, I think, that just organically stem from the increased numbers because our first venue was a pub, and it was an old man's pub. You know the kind of venue I'm talking about, right? You've got like a bunch of people drinking tannins, talking about sports, and you've got a bunch of weird geeks hunched over board games.
And then you have you.
Well, yeah.
And you've got the occasional normal geek sprinkled in amongst the weird ones as well.
Yeah,
just a bit of flavor.
I'm trying to be mean to both groups, basically, equally. I'm trying not to be...
But are you... I mean, the last time I was there, it was very much you were on display from an organizational perspective. Do you still get to play?
I don't know. I always joke that I don't really like board games because I spend most of the evening just chatting to people. And I think a lot of people changed. Maybe I put it this way. A lot of things changed, ballooned with the scope. But what Andy's mentioned, it started off as a group of friends. And this core, I think, of this as a social group, not a board game group, but a social group that plays board games, that remained very much the same. So for us as organizers, the social aspect will be always at the forefront rather than the games. So yeah, I mean, I do play games, mostly short games, code names, the crypto stuff like that. Although I have played like a 3-hour game at the last meetup, so that was a success.
Yeah, we do play games. I always say it's like a social club and the game's like an icebreaker.
Yeah.
People are there to chat, and there's a game there. It makes it comfortable to get to meet people because there's a reason that you're being quiet. So I'm clear, I'm thinking, not just I don't know you. So you've got a chance to sort of get in when you've got to settle down. And I think this helps a lot of people get ingratiated in the group.
So if I can just sort of like slip in an anecdote, right? So what motivated me at the beginning to do work on this club? Because we've put a fair amount of work, right, over the years, right? So what I found motivating, what I will always come back to, is my first experience of like board gaming with any board game club. I was looking for a new hobby, and I wasn't much of a board gamer back then. I basically just needed something else in my life. So I thought, why not try this? I walked into this board game space, and I find 7 bearded men, and all of them are just looking at their tables. And I feel kind of, I felt quite awkward. And I'm not the kind of person who feels very shy. I don't mind just chatting someone up.
You don't say.
Yeah, I know, weird. Books and covers and all that. And I always thought, I don't want anyone to feel like this. And to be clear, these people, they were not mean or in any way, stonewalling me in any way. Like they were very nice people, and I'm friends with some of them to this day. It's just sort of, it's awkward when you come into a space and everyone...
Wasn't as welcoming.
Yeah.
Friendliness and approachability are two different things. They go side by side, but not always. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with lacking in either, Well, maybe friendliness, actually. Bad example, but yeah.
So we tried to basically go and meet everyone, basically. Just make everyone feel welcome. Not just basically tolerate them in the space, but actually go out and make them feel like, yes, this is a space for you. We want you here. Everyone here is really friendly, And
it feels like you're being rude if you don't greet somebody, when it's a smaller group in particular, less so when it's 100 people, but it does feel wrong to just not even acknowledge somebody as they come in and just assume they'll get settled in themselves. It's not really the point. If it was if you go to the pub with friends, if you think of that as the ethos, you wouldn't just ignore the new person who doesn't really know the person, everybody else there, who's waiting for their friend to arrive.
I mean, it seems like with this focus on this kind of community aspect that you guys have, that what has brought so many people into this idea in this space. I think if you end up doing a very hardcore board game thing, it can often be a bit off-putting for new people, and that kind of like, as you say, it's a friendliness, it's an approachability side to things, but it is very much a what do people want. And I think it's something that we've noticed definitely in the shop is that people don't generally gravitate towards board games because they love the kind of spreadsheet mechanism side of things, It's, yes, there will be lots of people who do love that stuff, and there's loads of people who love solo games and just playing on their own, but usually what will get them into board gaming as a thing is that social side of things, that like, well, this is a great excuse to spend time with other people and in a way that isn't socially awkward. It's not the small talk, meeting someone new, what do you work as, that can be part of it, of course, but you have a focus, and that can take away a lot of the added anxieties and other things about meeting new people. I'm sure you have quite a few people, I mean, we've definitely found it in the shop, which is fantastic, of having quite a few neurodivergent folk. I'm sure you guys have it in your community as well. And it's great to have a space to get as many different people as possible to actually spend time together. Do you find that there is a distinct kind of cutoff line, I guess, between the people who are there to socialize and then the kind of almost hardcore gaming side of things, who were bringing their new game that they have just bought, who are like, I need 4 people who are ready to learn rules and spend the next 4 hours with this? Not in a negative way, just because they're really into the games more than they're into the socializing side.
I think those guys will take care of themselves. You set up a board game night, the people who really want the sort of spreadsheet kind of world, they will come along anyway and they'll get settled in. Plus, they're not going to fully isolate off and just spreadsheet away in the corner. They will actually integrate and chat with other people. And you'll get anyone in between who's likes a little bit of that, maybe a party game later on. It's just been a rough week. I'm going to do party games because it's shattered. Yeah. Not the right evening for me. So you get people who are in between and they'll move around and then they'll mingle, and this forms a little community. And you get people that, turn up, they want a really heavy game, but they will find their group. They'll find their little clique of friends and meet on a regular basis in the same room, and they'll chat in between. You don't have you're never going to have everyone at the same table anyway. You're always going to have cliques to some degree.
I think what we're trying to do is create a space where the social aspect exists and the vibes exist, and you can partake or not. You can be on the fringes of that. You can be outside of that. We usually go get pints after a meetup. And I think that's cool because it shows that people generally like each other there. Don't just come here for board. And that's actually like some people told me that, like some board game clubs, not ours, but some other board game clubs, they just meet, play games and go home. And we've not done that for years. And I think that's a testament to the bonds we're building. But you're not forced to integrate. You're not forced to be anybody's, chum in a way. If you just want to come and play board games, you can.
And this really works at scale because because we just grow people meet in the pub. If people would just turn up and work out who's free and do whatever would work with that group of people, what everyone's interested in doing. We've just stuck with that approach. One, because it's just a lot easier. When I get people coming in who've come from a different city where their club has a little spreadsheet you've got to sign up to first, I'm like, I don't have the time. I like making spreadsheets, but I don't have the time to make that particular spreadsheet and monitor it, So we don't have it. We just drop in and play, just work it out in the day. But if you get 100 people in one place or just a big group of people in one place, people should be able to find people with similar tastes. Only if you're very late to the day and you're like, well, what's left? And even then, you're probably just going to jump into a party game or something until people are free or finding some space.
I think from 10 onwards, people usually play mostly party games because it's...
But you're not going to get...
But I think, you mentioned neurodivergence, and I think we have a contingent of neurodivergence in the community, obviously. But also, people struggle with different medical issues. There were people struggling with depression, with bulimia, with other conditions that made it very difficult for them in their lives. And I think having this community around them.
There are a number of people who it's clearly helped them out of a dark place. And I don't really know.
Yeah, people need a community. People need a community that, and I think, again, we're not forcing anyone to be a participant, but it's there if you want to.
That's great to say. The pitchfork is a little bit, definitely, it feels a little bit forceful.
Fork, not force.
Oh God, yeah, sorry. Yeah. It's branded though, which is great. It's so good to hear other people talk about the community in that way. As, I guess you feel more community managers than focused on board games yourselves nowadays, but I imagine there is still a core of interest in the board games as a hobby.
Oh, yeah.
Is this something that you are on top of new things coming out and people talk to you about games and game design and different bits and pieces? Or is this more of, no, we're focused more on the community and the group side of things. We don't really get as much into the industry side of things.
We might be at different ends of the spectrum with this because I'm way out of touch with it now. I play a lot of sort of cooperative and narrative games mainly now. Part of this is my job is very numerical. I make mathematical models for a living at the university for healthcare. And there's a lot of similarities with the Euros there. So at a certain point, you maybe don't want to do that in the evening. Whereas back when I started in the hobby, it was it was an outlet, and I was clearly interested in both. I did get bored of Euros easily 5-6 years ago. I'd recommend to anybody else. It's like watching a good film. You should go watch it. I don't need to see it twice. So I'm sort of at the other end. I just stopped paying attention to the hotness and the newness that's coming out, really. But again, I'm there for the social side of it, really.
Whereas I'm the opposite side of the spectrum because my job doesn't involve any numbers at all because I don't believe in math really.
It's not real.
No. So mathematicians themselves, I think it's the big number. It's the big number lobby. They just sort of convince the whole world. That
Google.
Literally,
No, literally. So like even they admit it's all made up. Like they imaginary numbers. They're calling them imaginary numbers. So,
There's also real numbers, but anyway, that's off topic.
people don't see this, but they are like chomping at the bit to go for each other. So we're got to keep them the size of the room.
The real versus imaginary numbers crowd.
Exactly.
It's
So I like game design. I like games. I've always liked games. I've played a lot of role-playing games, board games, video games, and I was interested in it from a game design point of view as well. My undergrad, I did a game as part of my undergrad even. So it's I've always had a design, the mechanical aspect of it, but I think it's less about the numerical side of it because I think all the mechanics serve as a certain type of experience, right? And I'm interested in experiences. I'm interested in games giving me a framework that allows me to feel something that I wouldn't have felt otherwise. Be it a video game or a board game, arguably, like if you're doing a hard Euro about trading in the Mediterranean, changing saffron for silk and camels, moving cubes across the board, you would argue this is immersive. Right? Because it gives you a sense of that. This is not the kind of immersion I like. But I try to stay abreast. Games are fun. I recommend games to everyone. And also, there's a space in Edinburgh, I don't know if you've heard about this, that's really good for like budding board game designers.
No.
Okay.
So I believe this fits in the real numbers thing of it not actually being real. I can't imagine a space like that.
When thinking about what you've seen over the past decade, have there been any trends that you've kind of noticed in terms of like how, whether it's from the facilitation of a social side or just generally moving maybe some of the larger events, from your vantage point, have you noticed things change in terms of the types of games that people like to play or distinctions within previous genres that might be different?
I think one thing, so socially, they're definitely more acceptable games.
Yeah. I guess I wouldn't be able to talk about game trends very well, despite having done this so long. Probably don't keep up the hotness, so I don't really watch the different trends in the actual games themselves, but there's definitely changes in demographics that come along. People are definitely more comfortable with it as well. People feel less stigmatized, which is good, important, relevant.
Yeah, so 10 years ago...
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on.
Yeah, so 10 years ago, people would have felt mildly awkward in a pub playing board games. Nowadays, I think it's perfectly acceptable as in a public space.
Back 10 years ago, at one point, someone told us not to do that in the window.
That's true, yeah.
We're not that sort of pub.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Talk about imaginary.
Yeah.
That's, jeez.
We literally had to struggle. It was like a routine struggle to convince managers because with growing numbers, we had to move venues quite a lot. Because we were outgrowing every consecutive venue. And every time there was a negotiation going on with a manager to convince them that we actually can be profitable, that we're not going to be just playing Monopoly and drinking a glass of water all evening.
Easy to get a table of, say, 10, 20 people. And then, eventually we reached sort of reliably 60 or so. Just before the pandemic, we were about 60-ish. At that point, we only had McCowan's at that point, the pub we used to work at, because they were a pub that was too big for the venue. The venue was too big for the custom, wrong way around. And so they had a back room as well, which just doesn't need to be there from a business perspective, that they could rent out in effect, or give us for free as long as you buy some drinks. So they had space that was just dead capacity, and they could take the risk on having an additional 60 people if they weren't buying enough in the building, basically. But if you went anywhere else, you'd struggle to get it. I said before, we had like a running gag that all the venues we used basically followed a pattern where if you put like a coffee cup over a map of Edinburgh, then all the good venues we had basically aligned with the exact line of that coffee cup, perfect circle, ignoring the middle, and all the good bus routes. Because you need to be far enough out to be able to find a pub that would fit you, and far enough in to have a catchment area, and you need to have the bus routes to get the people to the other side of the city if you even bother to come over there. But there was a sort of limit, and that's probably true of every venue we've used apart from the Grassmarket Centre, which is a slightly different case because it's a charity hall, in effect. But,
so the demographics definitely changed.
Yeah.
Types of games, I don't know. I mean, they're better designed. I think like the accessibility, I think, is a bigger issue now. Like I'm colorblind, for example. And when I play a game from 2008, I can usually tell it's from 2008 because that's when...
Because you can't tell.
Well, I mean, colorblind people didn't exist.
You're really young then.
Yeah. Well, I just stay young. I'm worth it. And they're more accessible, I think. That comes with the demographics. And I welcome that. I welcome that because I think there's been a massive... I almost said quantum leap. I love that phrase. Quantum. It means
Great
nothing.
show, that show.
Great show.
Great.
Yeah, it's a great show, isn't it? Yeah. You know what?
We're not showing our age. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a quantum leap. There's been a quantum leap. I'll embrace it. There's been a quantum leap in design, I think, in terms of visual design, in terms of accessibility, in terms of the manual design. I played Middle-earth Quest, which is a legendary game from 2008, I think. It was a Fantasy Flight, one of the early Fantasy Flight sort of blockbusters, right? Lots of figurines, asymmetrical gameplay. It made a huge splash. Copies were going off on eBay for like 120 quid when it went out of print. And I've played it, and I it's a nice game, but reading through that rulebook, that was a
Journey.
That was a journey. Are you familiar with the Heart of Darkness?
Never finished.
It is a thing where things have changed so much from that. I wonder how much it's come from the customer base is different than it used to be and therefore people are making more games towards that, or whether more games were made towards that and therefore the customer base has changed for all of these accessibility in games. I definitely noticed over the past 10 years of, I think, as you're talking, kind of like the 2008, or maybe even 2003 to 2010-ish era of if it's a game that people want to sit down and play for more than an hour, it is incredibly beige looking. It needs a rule book that is inscrutable, and all of the cubes are all cubes, and also are specifically made to be problems for colorblind people.
Yeah.
They are all grey for everyone who's involved. They're red and green and things like that. I think it's moved way past that now. We have come to that accessible thing, but also just the type of thing that a game is made about. It is no longer just, you are German traders trading bread and beer and saffron and things like that in the 1400s. And
Camels.
And camels and things, yes, as things. Now there are games about, making a fancy quilt for cats to go and sit on. There are games about making a fancy woodland and having little strange animals in it, or being a giant god and kind of taking control of things. There are things for everyone, I think, now, whereas it definitely used to be much more focused on this, you say, the kind of Euro idea of things.
Probably through demographic change then. If you go back long enough, then you've got a lot of mainly, I guess, middle-class white men. And so you have themes that appeal to those kind of people in, I'm going to say, the 80s and 90s. Whereas now it's got, you've got a much higher proportion of women. Yeah. All sorts of different groups going on. So you're not looking at, a lot of men looking dour next to a boat on a cover. It's like...
That's,
or if they are, it's ironic.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. It's changed so much, and I'm sure you've seen that influx being so many different kinds of people. It's the best thing that I've noticed in the shop, at least, it not being a focused thing of just men with beards. It's great to have men with beards. I'm a man with a beard. But there's enough of us, and there is plenty of other people who also want to be part of this hobby, and it's great to be able to have the games to push them in that direction as well.
There must be differences in printing standards. I mean, 3D printing must have made a big difference to what can be made to stop you having to make cubes every 5 minutes. I presume you can now make bespoke little shapes rather than have everything be the same colour to colourblind people, It's also opened up the design space, I think, for people who have those different sensibilities and different
ideas and are slightly out of the left field, because with 3D printing, anyone can actually make their own components, and we have a bunch of people designing their own games in the group.
Yeah, I mean, they must come here, and there's the Edinburgh Playtest group, and a lot of them will come along to our group as well. The Venn diagram of gamers in Edinburgh is a circle. It's not.
Oh, yes.
It's a bearded circle.
A thing of that design thing being it is very cheap to make a board game in its most basic form. It's bits of paper written with... Let me rephrase that. It's bits of paper written. No, it's bits of paper with stuff written on it and possibly little cubes that are super, super cheap to make. Now, it's how you expand off that to make the game into a big professional thing, whether it is 3D printing or whether it is sticking with those cubes but having a really nice art or things like that, can just depend on the price of the game. But it means it's very accessible to make a game for anyone compared to a computer game or something like that, where there's years of learning to code and then you're also coding a thing and it takes forever to do. Like, it's a very instantaneous hobby to get into and work towards that next step of your making a board game journey. Yeah. And I think people can see that when they play a game themselves, even if they're not interested in making it, of like, this is how this is done makes sense to me. It's not magic numbers in the background, be they real or not, making beautiful colors happen on a screen. It is, someone has done this, and it's a very kind of physical and practical and human designed thing, which is, I think, really, really cool. You were talking before about games that you still love playing, which the party game, particularly that you were mentioning, that you all get round to party games at the end of the night, and you were saying a big fan of Codenames for one. Is this the same Codenames that you have been playing? And what is it about that makes you kind of go back to it so much?
It's a good one for the Friday nights because it's one where you can join partway through and it wouldn't really break the game unless you've seen the back of the little card. So people can drop in and out potentially, and it plays large enough numbers so you can get people on the table. So it's a good one for sort of gathering people up or closing out the night as people sort of finish going through. We did randomly inherit a copy of the Giant Codenames. Which is really good on the table, and I generally think the cards are just much clearer to see from a distance. I actually think the main game probably would benefit from being that size to start with.
It looks great.
Yeah.
I actually have a tip for any Codenames enthusiasts that are listening, all 5 of them, and because I actually invented something that I'm quite proud of. I did that. Half past midnight, I think, at one meetup or another, quite drunk. We wanted to play Codenames, and there were 10 of us. And Codenames is a fantastic game, but it sort of struggles with more than 6-8 people, because people are shouted down, like whoever's loudest usually gets their say. So I've come up with a variant of Codenames for 10 people that plays reasonably well, right? Would you like to hear it?
Of course.
You shoot anybody who's over 10 people.
I mean, that's one way.
Just split the box and go, you 6 play over there.
No.
So I've got an easy solution.
So you have you do 2 spy masters per team. You've got 2 teams as usual, but each team has 2 spy masters, and you set up 2 separate boards for these spy masters. So effectively, there's 2 games of Codenames going concurrently with the same teams, with 2 spy masters per team. The only thing you need to make sure is that the red spy master starts on one side of the table and the blue one on the other. And with this also, by the time that one side of the table is done picking, the second side of the table usually has a clue ready. So there's 0 downtime as well.
That definitely helps, because with Codenames, for people who don't know Codenames, it is a game where you have a grid of words out in front of you. You are trying to give your team as good an opportunity to figure out the words you're wanting them to guess and the words you're wanting them to avoid. You have to say only one word and one number, which is a word to tie together other words, and a number, which is how many of those things you're tying together, trying to get your team to guess them and not guess the wrong ones. And then the opposing team is doing the same, and it's whoever gets there first, essentially, without choosing the assassin, which is what always happens in almost every game of Codenames I've ever played. This may be because I'm bad at Codenames. But yes, that is a fantastic kind of really fun party game to play at the end of the night. Do you have any favorites for the start of a night, something a bit more, meaty, that you like to play yourselves?
You like meaty games?
There's a game called Meat. No.
I vary massively. I go through phases, is the truth. I follow the crowd to some degree, I'd say.
I saw you play a lot of Spirit Island. Spirit Island.
I do like Spirit Island. Big fan of Spirit Island, yeah.
Fantastic co-op game.
Yeah. It's one of the better, more detailed co-op, one of the heavier Euro mixed co-op games, if that's a genre to combine.
I think we're making it.
There are very few that fit that set of, there's enough going on that's not too simplistic.
Yeah.
Or you can make it easier if you want to, but you can get deeper into it. Whereas Pandemic and all the other sort of simpler ones, they will hit a cap.
It's really great because there's so much going on with your own hand of cards and with what you're doing with your spirit that there is none of this what's called quarterbacking in co-op games of someone takes over and tells everyone else how to do it because they have the best way to deal with that puzzle. You got too much to do in Spirit Island and everyone is trying to do it themselves. So it kind of, I think, takes away from that. A lot of co-op games do that by not allowing people to talk to each other. And I think Spirit Island is probably the co-op game where I talk to other people the most playing it. So also a big fan.
I'm looking that I've been playing with a similar group of friends for a long time, and I think we got past the quarterbacking phase quite early on, and you get into habits where you realise you're not there to win the game, you're there to have a good experience, and you remember that being the bad thing that happened, so you don't do it the next time. And so you get into the habit of going, can you take care of that? Yes, right, okay, I'm going to try and take care of this then. And you get a better flow and just a better evening. And it's not optimal, because it couldn't with that system, but it ends up playing faster and you get to just the bits you're enjoying in the first place.
Plus, you get to be the opposite of the regular British Empire and get rid of the colonists and not be them, which is always a joy.
It does amuse me that all the bad components are plastic and all the good components are wood.
It's very much done on purpose. Yeah. And for yourself, Pavel?
So, chunky one. I like hard co-ops as well. So I like Robinson Crusoe. I like XCOM. I like a game that sort of like kicks my face down to the dirt.
You're a sub gamer.
Maybe. I don't know. I want a challenge. I want when I win, I want to feel like I've earned this. I want my wins to sort of like be hard won. I want the narrow victory. I don't want to feel like, oh yeah, I've mastered this. This is what I need to do. I know what I need to do for the 5 next moves. Now I want to be surprised, at every turn. I don't know what that says about me, but I like a thrill. I'm in it for the thrill of board gaming. Is it cheaper than gambling in a casino? Maybe.
Depends on how you do.
Yeah, that's it. How many games you get? XCOM being fantastic is like having a time limit for everyone's turns and what you're doing, and then the end result of that being at the end of that time limit having to deal with all of the decisions you've all just made and realize you are now in debt as a world, not as a country. A truly joyous game.
I also really like timed games, I think. So there is a Pavel's law of game design, which you may or may not be familiar with.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of it.
So this is going to be my second Wikipedia entry right after the Codenames variant for 10 people. It's every game can be improved with the inclusion of a send timer. If a game already has a send timer, you've got a spare send timer.
I think I could spend a whole podcast probably debating that. As someone who has enough stress in my life.
Oh, go on.
We'll time it.
Well, thank you so much for both coming and joining us today. It's been a true delight to speak to you about this. Congratulations on coming up to the 10-year anniversary of the Edinburgh Board Gamers. It is a huge what's the word?
Achievement.
Yes, but there's somehow
last outlive.
Some other word.
Milestone.
No, not just that. I mean, both of those are great words. Don't let me take away from them. But it's a institution now in Edinburgh is what I was meaning. It is definitely a place where everyone knows about it, I think, within the board gaming sphere and within the board gaming community sphere that at least we are part of here in the city. So congratulations. It's fantastic. If people want to know more about what Edinburgh Board Gamers are doing, or you yourselves are doing, where would be the best place to find out about it?
Go to Google or UDM14, because this way you don't have the AI overview, and Google Edinburgh Board Gamers, and what you'll see is a Meetup website. You can go to Meetup. That's where we post our events. We have an event every Friday. The thing is, always check where it is, because we have 2 venues. We sort of swap around, and every couple of months we do a big event. And beyond that, we have a Facebook group. If you're over 30, And we have a Discord if you're under 20. We don't have anything for 20 to 30s. We might have an Instagram account soon. I think we're going to have an Instagram soon. So yeah, Facebook, Discord, and Meetup would be the primary sources.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, thank you both again for coming to join us. Thank you for listening to the Ancient Robot Games podcast. As always, I have been Dougal.
And I am Gil.
And this has been recorded and edited by Ryan Scott. If you liked this, or didn't...
Even if you didn't,
please let us know in the comments or via email or Pigeon, if you've got Pigeon.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like us, drop us a line. And if you don't, do this really, really cool thing where you press follow or like. It actually works against us. So we'll still get the message.
Thank you very much for coming and listening with us. And we'll hear you next time.